I never imagined falling for a mysterious woman, until I discovered her life-changing secret. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding that felt like a storm was brewing inside me. My heart raced as I turned the corner, my breath hitching in my throat. It was then I saw her, a silhouette against the chaos of a busy street. She stood out like a wildflower in a concrete jungle, her dark hair whipping in the wind. I was drawn to her. There was something haunting about her, something that whispered danger. Her eyes, deep pools of midnight, seemed to hold secrets that could unravel the world. And when she looked at me, time slowed. I swear I felt the weight of her past pressing against my chest, a tangle of pain and fear I yearned to untangle. I had to know her story. I approached cautiously, my hand trembling. "What's your name?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The way she tilted her head sent chills down my spine. "Lila," she replied, and with that simple word, I stepped into her world, a place tinged with shadows and half-truths. Before I could process my feelings, she unveiled unusual fact after unusual fact. She spoke of dreams that foretold the future, of a family cursed by darkness. "I can see things that will happen," she confessed, her eyes flickering as though she was battling her own demons. The street faded away, the chaos of car horns and chatter becoming a dull hum behind us. "Do you believe in fate?" she asked, voice shaking. The warmth of her breath sent shivers through me. I wanted to scream, to run from the intensity, yet I stood frozen, enchanted. Every word she uttered wrapped around me like vine, tightening its hold. Had she predicted the storm brewing in my life, the pain I tried so hard to bury? But then she paused, her gaze dropping, lips trembling like the flicker of a candle in the wind. I followed her gaze to a dark alley, shadows dancing menacingly. "Something terrible is coming and I can't stop it." Her voice was a trembling whisper that sent my heart racing. The tension thickened. I could hear my heartbeat thundering in my ears, could feel the air growing heavier between us. I wanted to pull her to safety, to protect her from whatever darkness loomed ahead, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was merely stepping into another shadow. Everything felt alive, electric, as something profound lingered just between us. With a desperate need to reach her, I took a step forward. "What is it? What do you see?" But before she could answer, her phone buzzed, breaking our moment. Panic flashed in her eyes. "I have to go," she breathed, urgency dripping from her words. "What do you mean? You can't just leave." But she was already backing away, an impenetrable wall of secrets rising between us. "It's not safe for you, for anyone," and just like that, she disappeared down the alley, swallowed by the darkness that I stood there, heart racing, mind spinning. What had just happened? Who was Lila? And why did I feel an abyss open up inside me where hope used to be? Questions flooded my mind, but the answers vanished with her. The world around me blurred, and I was left alone, trembling in the silence. What life-changing secret lay buried in her past? And would I ever find the courage to uncover it? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The sense of loss enveloped me as I wandered back into the stream of life around me, people hurrying past, faces blank, oblivious to the whirlwind that had just swept me off my feet. It felt like I was walking through a world tinted gray, each sound a ghostly echo of reality. Lila was gone, just as quickly as she had come into my life, leaving behind an imprint of hope entwined with dread. The hours blurred as I stumbled through the day, the sun hanging low in the sky, casting long shadows that gnawed at the edges of my thoughts. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever dark force loomed over her was somehow tethered to me. Why did her panic heat my blood? Why did it feel like a part of me was still kneeling in that dark alley, gripped by the fear she had worn like a second skin? My phone vibrated in my pocket, but I was too trapped in my spiraling thoughts to pay attention until I felt it buzzing again, relentless like a heartbeat. It was a message from my younger sister, Emma. "Hey, are we still on for dinner tonight? I miss you." I stared at the screen, the words bringing a sliver of comfort amidst the turmoil. Emma's light-hearted nature often anchored me when the world felt heavy. I closed my eyes, imagining her smile, the way her laughter could brighten even the darkest corners of my soul. Feeling a surge of determination, I replied, "Yes. I'll be there," as though embracing a sense of normalcy could somehow stabilize the tempest inside me. Arriving at the cozy restaurant, the aroma of garlic and fresh basil wafted through the air, wrapping around me like a warm hug. Emma sat at our usual table, her curly hair bouncing as she greeted me with her infectious smile. But today, the brightness that lit up her face was tinged with a hint of concern. "You look like you've seen a ghost. What's wrong?" "Just a long day," I replied, forcing a smile, yet the tightness in my chest deepened. I wasn't ready to burden her with the weight of my anxiety, not when she was so full of light that we made small talk, but my thoughts drifted back to Lila. I felt like a moth frantically flapping its wings against the flame, dancing perilously close to a fire I didn't yet understand. Dinner passed in a blur of laughter and familiarities, a momentary distraction from the darkness whispering at the edges of my mind. Just as I thought I might find a semblance of peace, a sharp ring pierced through the melody of soft conversation. My phone, lighting up with a new notification. It was from an unknown number. Hesitating for a moment, I opened the message, half expecting it to be a reminder of the usual mundanities of life. But the words I read sent entirely new shivers racing across my skin. "I know where to find her. What is it?" Emma asked, her brow furrowed in worry as she noticed my pallor shifting into a deeper shade of dread. "Nothing," I said, though my heart betrayed me with its hurried rhythm. I couldn't breathe as I battled the impulse to call back. The weight of the unknown pressed against my chest. I felt torn. A part of me was desperate for answers, and yet, the more I leaned toward the shadows of Lila's secrets, the more I felt the pull of dread rather than hope. As I clenched my phone tightly, the door chimed, and in walked a tall figure dressed in a long coat, the collar turned up against the evening chill. My heart skipped a beat. They looked strikingly familiar. Another wave of recognition struck as I locked eyes with the stranger, a murky memory flashing before me, a vision of Lilith's haunted gaze from the alley. "What are you doing here?" I muttered under my breath, though my pulse quickened with intrigue. The figure turned sharply, and a smirk played on their lips, their eyes glinting with a knowing light. Immediately, they slid into the seat directly across from me, their presence commanding attention. "You've been looking for her, haven't you?" they asked, their voice low, laced with an unsettling familiarity. My heart pounded painfully in my chest. Who were they? And what did they know about Lila? The stranger leaned closer, their eyes shimmering with secrets, as they murmured, "You're not the only one intrigued by Lila's past. But be careful. Not all who seek her do so with good intentions." As the restaurant atmosphere buzzed around us, my world narrowed to the chilling words of someone who knew her. Lost between fear and curiosity, I could feel the stakes rising, the weight of more darkened paths ahead. And for the first time, I wondered if perhaps stepping into Lilith's world was pulling me into a darkness I may never truly escape. Before I could form a question, they stood up, leaving a small piece of paper on the table before disappearing just as quickly. I stared at the note, the edges fluttering with my breath, heart racing as I picked it up. And there it was, a single address, the gateway to whatever new chapter of chaos awaited me and Lila. My hand shook as I gripped it tightly, a bittersweet mixture of thrill and terror coursing through me. How far was I willing to go to uncover the truth? And more frighteningly, what awaited me at the end of the trail? The cafe buzzed with life, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside me. I felt the note burning a hole in the pocket of my jeans, its presence both electrifying and suffocating. As Emma continued to chatter about her day, her voice receding into the background, I became a mere observer of her vibrant world, unable to shake the creeping shadows that enveloped my thoughts. "My boss is driving me crazy," Emma sighed, swirling a fork through her untouched pasta. "You wouldn't believe the new policy he's trying to implement. I swear, some people just don't know how to manage, right?" I answered, although my mind was miles away, racing toward the address scrawled on that ridiculous piece of paper. Every fleeting second felt like a lifetime. Unease coiled around my heart, squeezing tighter with visions of Lila trapped somewhere, calling out to me for help. Emma must have sensed the shift in me because she dropped her fork with a clatter that echoed across the table. Seriously, what's wrong? You're somewhere else entirely. Just tell me that. I searched her eyes, those innocent pools of kindness that had always been my refuge. I felt an overwhelming urge to confide in her, to share the weight of my growing uncertainty, yet how could I drag her into the shadows? It's nothing, I insisted, forcing a smile once more, but Emma wasn't convinced. You know you can tell me anything, right? She pressed, her concern deepening. That I nodded, but the words died in my throat. Resolve swept through me. I couldn't lean into my fears, not now. Instead, I chose the only option that felt right. How about a walk later? Just the two of us. Fresh air might do us both good. She considered my proposal, her brow furrowing slightly. Sure, that sounds nice. Whenever you're ready. Dinner dragged on, punctuated by my absent-minded replies and her watchful, worried gaze. I could tell she wanted to peel back the layers, to see the truth that trembled beneath the surface. But I couldn't allow that, not now. When dinner finally ended and the soft twilight settled outside, Emma and I strolled together through the neighborhood, the cool air brushing against our faces like a gentle reminder of all that was real. Her talk gradually shifted to lighter topics, stories from her job, her plans for the weekend, each word a bandage over my ever-growing wounds. I listened, pretending to be engaged, while my skin prickled, echoing the pulsating beat of fear within me. As we rounded a corner, I spotted a small flower shop brimming with vivid colors. I hesitated, feeling an unexpected tug in my heart. Let's stop in there, I suggested, wishing to at least change the tone of the moment, to find joy even while darkness loomed so near. Inside, the scent of fresh blooms enveloped me, their beauty a stark contrast to the chaos swirling within. I wandered among the rows, my fingers brushing against delicate petals when I felt Emma's presence behind me. Which one do you think Lila would like? She asked, her tone light but softened with an undertone of sensitivity. I paused, heart racing at the mention of Lilith's name, her face jumping into my mind like a beacon that lit up the gathering storm. Don't know. But I lingered beside a cluster of lilies, their elegance striking a chord deep inside me. Maybe these. Emma peeked at the flowers, a gentle smile spreading across her lips. Then let's get them. A little beauty might be just what you need. No, I said, suddenly overwhelmed. Just as I turned to face her, a wave of sorrow crashed over me, driven by thoughts of Lila. I needed to focus, to break free from this emotional tangle, but each moment felt like a winding staircase pulling me deeper into the unknown. I can't. Not yet. It was then that the shopkeeper, a kind elderly lady with kind eyes, approached us. She took in our exchange and placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. Sometimes, dear, a little kindness like these flowers can illuminate the darkest path. Her words didn't entirely lift the heaviness, but they offered a flicker of warmth in the chilling air. Grateful yet pained, I smiled faintly, then stepped away to absorb it all. After we left the shop, Emma paused on the sidewalk, her brow furrowed with concern. There's something you're not telling me, isn't there? With a tremor in my voice, I nearly confessed everything as we reached the corner leading to my apartment. But the weight of the note in my pocket held me captive. Instead, I chose silence, the safest option in a world where every choice felt laden with consequences. Promise me you'll talk to me when you're ready? She implored, sincere and hopeful. I will, I vowed, though I knew I was inching deeper into a labyrinth of shadows. And as I watched Emma's hopeful smile wane with lingering worry, I felt a pang of guilt settle in my gut. That night, as I lay awake in bed, staring at the speckled ceiling, the address loomed in my mind. The world that awaited me beyond it shimmered with possibility and dread. I pulled out the note, heart racing, knowing full well that every choice I made would draw me closer to Lila, to whatever darkness had swallowed her whole. But would I find her, or would I lose myself in the search? My eyes spilled over with unresolved emotion, the weight of uncertainty pressing down fiercely. I needed answers, but what awaited me of that door? A sliver of hope pierced through as I thought of Lila. Perhaps discovering the truth was the only way to save myself, and her too. The next morning, I would know. It would be here that the real journey began, the reckoning of destinies tangled by secrets and the promise of a love forged in the heart of chaos. But as I turned to sleep, the vibrations of my phone pulled me back to waking life, and I saw a new message from that unrecognized number. They're closer than you think. Do not trust anyone. A cold sweat broke over me. I clutched the sheets, a chill racing down my spine, as I realized that this was no longer just about Lila. I had awakened something far more sinister than I had ever imagined, and the line between friend and foe blurred ominously before me. The flutter of my heart echoed like distant thunder, the ominous message flashing in my mind. Do not trust anyone. The words wove a tapestry of fear that pulled at my consciousness, racing through my veins as I struggled to grasp the reality of the situation. My instincts whispered loudly, and as enticing as curiosity could be, danger lurked in every shadow that I sat up in bed, the early morning light casting long streaks across my room. My fingers trembled as I read the message again, desperately seeking clarity, but the meaning remained as enigmatic as the darkness wrapped around Lila. My thoughts spiraled back to yesterday's walk with Emma, her unconditional kindness colliding with the stark reality that I now had to consider everyone through a lens of suspicion. With a heavy heart, I tossed the note aside, sprang from the sheets, and grabbed a notepad. I needed to think, to channel this storm of emotions into something tangible. I scribbled down everything I knew or thought I knew about Lila's disappearance, her connections, the people around her. As I wrote, memories of her laughter echoed in my mind, her voice intertwined with the comforting steadiness that had become a part of my life. But the warmth that once radiated around us now felt tainted with uncertainty. After an hour lost in thought, I finally steeled myself to meet Emma for brunch. We had agreed on a café that perched like a nest on the corner of the street, its facade a facade of chipped paint yet bursting with lively chatter and the aroma of fresh pastries. I arrived early, nervous energy coursing through my body. As I sat waiting for her, I let the comforting smells engulf me. The din of laughter blended with the clinking of ceramic cups, moments of joy surrounded by the suffocating weight of secrets. My fingers tapped a restless rhythm on the tabletop, and I watched the people come in and out, each one a potential thread in a web I no longer understood. Who among them could be trusted? Emma arrived, her hair bouncing in the breeze, face alight with the morning sun. But as she approached, I saw the flicker of unease hidden behind her smile. "Hey," she greeted, sliding into the seat across from me. "You're looking particularly pensive today. What's going on?" My stomach churned. Her question sat on my tongue like iron, heart aching with the burden of my truth. "I received a message," I blurted. The words felt heavy as they hung in the air, a daring step into a chasm that might lead to ruin. I think Lila might be in real trouble. They told me not to trust anyone." Emma's eyes widened, a mix of concern and shock coursing through them. "What do you mean? Who sent the message?" "I have no idea," I admitted, my voice shaking slightly. "It came from an unknown number, telling me they're closer than I think." I can't shake the feeling this is all connected." Emma leaned in, a frown drawing her brows together. "Are you in danger? We need to talk to the police or something." No. The word burst out of me, desperate and fierce. "I can't involve anyone else yet. I need to understand what's happening first. I can't risk putting you in danger as well, please," she implored softly, her gentle hand resting over mine. "You're not alone in this. You know I care about you, and I want to help." A swell of emotion threatened to consume me, both warmth and fear mingling as I held her gaze. Just then, a figure across the café caught my attention, a stranger with dark sunglasses, his face turned barely enough that I could see the hard line of his jaw. He didn't fit the cozy scene around him. There was an intensity in his posture that sent a chill down my spine. "Who is that guy?" I whispered, nodding discreetly toward him. My heart hammered against my chest as Emma followed my gaze, her expression shifting from concern to confusion. "I don't." Before she could finish, the man adjusted his sunglasses, and for a fleeting moment, our eyes locked. A jolt of recognition made my heart skip, and I instinctively recoiled, pulling my hand away from Emma's. What if he was part of this sinister web? A tempest of fears swirled in my gut, and every instinct I had screamed for caution. "Let's get out of here," I said abruptly, standing from the table as my eyes darted back to the stranger, who remained watching us, an inscrutable expression crossing his face. Emma rose slowly, eyebrows knitted in concern. What's happening? Are you okay? No, but I will be. We just need to leave. We exited the cafe, a soft wind greeted us outside, but my senses tingled with alarm. I glanced over my shoulder, catching a glimpse of the man as he followed, moving with purpose. Emma, run! I shouted, adrenaline propelling us down the sidewalk. As we hastened away, my thoughts raced alongside a whirlwind of panic and rage. I didn't know who to trust or where to turn, but Lila needed me, and every instinct told me that the answers lay ahead, tangled in a twisted maze of shadows that threatened to consume everything. We ducked into a nearby alley, pushing our backs against the cool brick wall, hearts pounding wildly in synchronicity. What in the world is going on? Emma gasped, scanning our surroundings. Don't know, I stammered. But the truth loomed heavily in the air, taunting yet invisible, rippling between us like a charged current. I grabbed her hand, squeezing it tight. We need to keep moving. Just then, a chilling laughter echoed from the mouth of the alley as the figure emerged, revealing a smirk that sent ice through my veins. You can't run forever. Emma's face blanched as I realized in that moment, the chase had only just begun, and I was about to uncover a devastating truth that would unravel not only my life but entwine the fates of everyone I cared about in a destructive spiral. With that loomed revelation, fear and determination flickered in my heart. What if I was prepared to step into darkness, only to realize I was never prepared for what lurked there? The air in the alley shifted, thick with tension as the stranger took a step toward us. His smirk had transformed into a predatory grin, a feeling of dread gnawing at the edges of my sanity. The echo of his laughter bounced against the walls, each sound a taunt, as if he reveled in the chaos unfolding before us. Who are you? I demanded, my voice wavering in a mix of bravado and terror. Emma squeezed my hand tighter, her breath quickening beside me. He paused, almost savoring my question. Names are nothing but labels, sweetheart. His gaze roamed over Emma, then back to me. What matters is the game. And you're about to make some very interesting moves, game? What are you talking about? I shot back, though I knew I was treading dangerously close to the edge. Behind me, darkness loomed, reaching toward the light we had just fled. I needed answers, doubt fueled my urgency. Oh, it's a classic. High stakes, hidden motives, and betrayal at every turn, he taunted, his eyes glinting with a maddening excitement. The question is, how far are you willing to go? Enough with the riddles. Emma interjected, her voice steady but laced with fear. If you know anything about Lila, tell us, he chuckled lightly, shaking his head as if we were children unaware of the world's complexities. Lila is only one piece of the puzzle. But trust me, if you want to find her, you'll need to embrace the risks. Otherwise, she may vanish forever. The weight of his threat loomed large, and every instinct screamed to flee, yet something kept me rooted in place. The truth, whatever it was, swirled in the atmosphere, a whirlpool of hidden dangers and revealing moments, making me question everything I believed. As if sensing my hesitation, the stranger straightened, leaning closer. Here's the deal. There's a party tonight, and you'll learn everything you need to know if you're brave enough to go. I glanced at Emma, her eyes wide with disbelief and concern. A party? That sounds reckless. She pulled my grip tighter, trying to pull me back towards safety, but an inner fire ignited within me. Why should we trust you? I questioned, daring to pierce through the enveloping shadows and anchor us back to hope. Because, he said deliberately, I am just as invested in revealing the truth as you are. But without taking risks, you will find yourself entangled in a web you never even knew existed. You'll learn all you need to know about Lila and her world tonight. Change is coming, one way or another. His words hung heavy in the air, a portent of inevitability. Though every fiber of my being recoiled at the prospect of trusting him, I could feel Lilith's pull tugging at me, urging me to take the plunge. "I'll think about it," I said. He smirked again, an expression that held an unsettling allure. "I'll be waiting." With that, he turned and dissolved into the shadows, leaving only his lingering laughter etched into the atmosphere. "Are you serious?" Emma exclaimed, her voice trembling with disbelief. "We can't go to a party hosted by a guy like that." We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. I know, I breathed, my mind racing. But an unshakable feeling tightened around my heart. This was our chance, possibly the only one left. But if there's even a slim chance of finding Lila, we have to consider it. I don't want you to get hurt, she pleaded, searching my eyes for any sign that I might reconsider. I appreciate your concern, truly. My voice softened as I lifted her chin to meet my gaze, but we can't keep running. We need answers, and this might be the door we need to open. As I spoke, I could see the uncertainty flicker in her eyes, battling against her instinct to protect. Just promise me you won't do anything reckless. Promise, I whispered, though inside, I felt the weight of the lies and danger closing in. We stepped out of the alley and into the bustling street, each pulse of the city resonating against the turmoil enveloping us. With every step, the resolve settled deeper in my chest, congruent with the creeping fear that this path might lead us to something darker than I could foresee. As the hours passed, we returned to my apartment, a fortress now feeling temporarily safe yet haunted by the knowledge of what awaited me. I wrestled with the decision to attend the mysterious party, the line blurring between bravery and recklessness. Emma lingered beside me, her shadow casting a protective light over the choices we faced, but I could see her resolve quietly weakening. What if we do uncover something tonight? She ventured finally, breaking the silence that swayed between us. But what if it puts us in danger? Well, face whatever comes together, I assured her. Understanding that the adventure ahead could unveil terrible truths, I wondered whether I would be prepared to embrace it all, especially if it led to Lila. The mystery lay heavy, clinging to my consciousness like a shroud. For an instant, I toyed with the idea of canceling, of shielding myself from the chaotic sensations whispering of impending doom, only to find that deep inside, I felt the stirrings of something else as well, a yearning for the thrill of discovery, the hope of a reunion with Lila, and the promise of unveiling the secrets swirling around me. As I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, an incoming message vibrated against my phone, demanding attention. My heart raced as I opened it, half expecting the stranger's taunt. To my surprise, it was an unknown number again, but this time, it wasn't just a warning. A single bold phrase shone back at me: "You are in deeper than you think. Trust no one, not even Emma." Panic gripped me like icy fingers, and I glanced over at Emma, who lay unaware, her breathing soft and peaceful. Was it possible? Was the very person I loved the one I needed to fear? The walls of uncertainty closed, and as I laid back down, my heart heavy, wrestling with the incalculable cost of truth, the darkness threatening to devour everyone I cared for, and the undeniable fact that my next move could change everything. The night descended with a dense, oppressive weight, the city lights flickering like distant stars struggling against a storm. As I paced the small living room of my apartment, my mind raced through the implications of the message. Trust no one, the phrase echoed like a haunting refrain, each repetition amplifying my anxiety. I kept glancing at Emma, who had finally succumbed to slumber, her innocence and vulnerability stark against my shadowy doubts. How could I even consider that she might be involved in whatever web of deception surrounded Lila? The image of her smile, warm, unwavering, full of light, clashed violently with the cold words on my screen. I took a deep breath, fighting the swirling tempest within me. My loyalty to Emma wrestled fiercely with the seed of doubt that was now planted deep in my psyche, roots burrowing down, anchoring themselves into fear. The hours crawled by, and sleep seemed as elusive as the truth I sought. I sat cross-legged on the floor, staring into the darkness that wrapped itself around me like a cloak. Each passing moment seemed to draw me closer to the inevitable choice ahead. The party waited, beckoning with both a promise of answers and the whisper of danger that slithered through my mind like a ghost. Maybe it's nothing, I muttered to myself, trying to dispel the chilling notion that Emma could somehow be linked to this chaos. She's been with me through everything. Defeat settled onto my shoulders like a shroud. I needed guidance, clarity amidst the confusion. I reached for my phone again, not entirely sure who I sought to connect with. I scrolled through recent messages, stopping at Lilith's name, her last text lingering in my mind like an unanswered question. "I'll always find my way back to you." The reassuring warmth of those words briefly inspired a flicker of hope within me. If I could find her, if I could navigate this labyrinth of uncertainty, perhaps all would be revealed. I found the courage to text Lila back, not knowing what I could possibly say that wouldn't come off as desperate, but needing her near somehow. As I typed, I heard the soft creak of the floorboards next to me. I looked up, startled, to find Emma standing there, her hair a tousled halo, her eyes still smudged with sleep but filled with concern. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I lied, feeling the weight of my secret pressed down harder than before. "I couldn't sleep, neither could I." She sat down beside me, pulling her legs up to her chest. "I felt you moving around." The warmth radiating from her body provided a momentary escape from my swirling thoughts. "Just thinking about what we learned today," I replied, skirting the truth yet again. As much as I wanted to protect her from the darkness threatening to engulf us, the distance growing between us made me feel more isolated than ever. A beat of silence stretched uncomfortably, her gaze piercing through my protective walls. "You know," she offered tentatively, "I can't shake the feeling that we are being watched. It's like we're actors in a play, and someone's pulling the strings." Her words sent a shiver down my spine, resonating with the realization that I wasn't the only one weighed down by this sinister unpredictability. "Yeah, I get that feeling too." I sighed, the heaviness of the truth threatening to crack my facade. She looked at me seriously, searching for something in my eyes, the answers I hadn't yet found. "Whatever happens tonight, promise me we'll stick together. I can't lose you too." Her vulnerability plucked at my heartstrings. With my own turmoil churning within, I had no way to tell her what I was wrestling with. "I promise," I said, hoping to mean it. Yet the undercurrent of uncertainty and fear gnawed at the edges of that promise. As dawn broke, casting shadows through the apartment window, I readied myself for the party. Each knot of clothing felt like armor against the unknown. I noticed Emma slipping into a simple yet stunning dress, elegance radiating from her, a stark juxtaposition against the turmoil in my mind. "You look beautiful," I murmured, wishing I could use her presence as a shield. Against the shadows whispering my insecurities. "Thanks," she replied softly, blush painting her cheeks as she adjusted the fabric nervously. "Do you think we'll really find Lila?" "I hope so." My voice wavered, uncertainty creeping back. "But let's stay on high alert. Remember our pact, trust no one." Her expression clouded momentarily as she nodded, the weight of our promise palpable. Before we could linger in that moment of doubt, we stepped outside, the air still cool and fragrant, an indifferent witness to our escalating peril. As we made our way to the party, the city felt alive, buzzing with a chaotic energy that mirrored my own unease. We found the address, a lavish venue pulsating with laughter and music, neon lights cutting through the dusk. My heart raced as we crossed the threshold, stepping into a world that felt simultaneously intoxicating and dangerous. In this realm of laughter, familiarity faded, replaced by an unsettling sense of being an outsider. My eyes darted around, searching for any sign of the stranger or hints of the dark secrets that lured us here. Emma squeezed my hand, grounding me as we ventured deeper into the crowd. We navigated through throngs of bodies, laughter echoing around us. But soon the allure of the party began to spiral. Laughter morphed into whispers, and I felt the suffocating weight of hidden glances. It was as if people knew something we didn't, a truth buried beneath the surface. Suddenly, a familiar figure emerged from the darkness, a flash of auburn hair. My breath caught in my throat. It couldn't be. "Lila?" I called out instinctively, the name bursting from my lips like a desperate prayer. But the girl turned, revealing a face I barely recognized, the kind of hauntingly familiar beauty that could be an illusion. She was surrounded by strangers, her laughter filling the empty spaces in between. "Who is that?" Emma asked, eyes narrowing as she tried to understand the flickering connection I felt. "It's her," I whispered, voice shaking with uncertainty. I pushed through the gathering crowd, fueled by adrenaline and urgency. "Lila." But when I reached for her, the girl vanished into the swarming sea of bodies, her laughter mingling with the music as I drowned in confusion and despair. Panic clawed at my insides, and just as I turned to Emma, mouth agape, scanning the room in disbelief, a chilling voice echoed from the shadows behind me, "Looking for someone?" I pivoted, heart pounding. The stranger from the alley stood there, a knowing grin plastered across his face, the truth boiling beneath the surface as darkness closed in around us. "You better hurry," he said, his voice an unsettling melody. "The game is on, and you're running out of time." The weight of my world teetered on the brink, and with Emma by my side, I realized I was no longer just searching for Lila. I was now tangled in something far more significant, as every choice began to fuel a burning desire to understand who I could trust and what it meant to finally uncover the truth. The thumping music pulsed through my veins, mixing with the rising tide of anxiety that threatened to overwhelm me. The stranger's grin deepened as he stepped back into the shadows, a puppet master who relished in the chaos he had instigated. "The game is on," he had said, and I could feel the weight of those words hanging heavily in the air, tinged with an ominous promise. What did he mean by that? Emma's voice trembled slightly beside me, grounding me momentarily in the chaos of the party. Her palm was clammy in mine, our palms slick with fear, yet we held tight an unspoken pact of solidarity amidst the uncertainty that I scanned the room, faces swirling around us, swirling like a vortex pulling us into an unknown abyss. "I don't know, but we need to find Lila," I replied, though doubt gnawed at my resolve. Would she even be here, or had I let my desperation cloud my judgment? Emma squeezed my hand tighter, her eyes searching my face for reassurance. "We'll find her together," she declared, the conviction in her voice somehow igniting a flicker of courage within me. We plunged deeper into the thrumming heart of the party, navigating the crowd while searching for a glint of auburn hair, an elusive figure tarnished by distance and confusion. Each laugh echoed in my ears, mocking my efforts as couples danced around us, their joy stark against our tension. Just as we reached the edge of the dance floor, I caught something out of the corner of my eye, a flash of red at the bar. "There." I pointed, but just before I could say Lilith's name, a figure stepped in front of me, a tall guy, muscular and imposing, with a close-cropped beard and an amused glint in his eyes. "Lost in the night?" he asked, looking between me and Emma as he leaned casually against the bar. His tone was playful, but the stark, watchful confidence emanating from him sent chills down my spine. "Excuse me," I said curtly, trying to sidestep him, but he blocked me. "Come on, man. Just trying to lighten the mood." "Everyone looks a little tense," he commented, his smirk widening, as if finding amusement in our plight. "We're looking for someone," Emma interjected, her voice steadier than I felt. "Have you seen an auburn-haired girl?" The man laughed, a short, mocking sound. "A lot of people pass through here, darling. But if you're looking for trouble, I might know where to find it." I clenched my jaw, fighting the temper that threatened to ignite. Just as I opened my mouth to retort, the atmosphere shifted, a hush descending over the crowd as if we had crossed an invisible line. On the other side of the room, someone had stepped into the area, a woman with bright red hair and a confident stride that commanded attention. She didn't exude warmth like Lila, her presence was colder, sharper, cutting like a knife through the ambient laughter. "Is that?" I murmured, and Emma nodded, a glimmer of recognition brightening her features. The mysterious woman raised her glass, her gaze scanning the room until it landed directly on us. A chill ran down my spine as I felt her eyes dissect us with unsettling accuracy. "Let's go," I urged Emma, feeling an urgency to escape the clutches of that piercing gaze. But before we could turn around, the bearded man caught my shoulder, keeping me rooted in place. "Not so fast," he said, his grip tightening. "You'll want to see this." Against my better judgment, I found myself drawn back into the throng of the party, closer to the woman who now commanded all my attention. She raised her glass once again, signaling for silence, and the music receded as the crowd complied, an eerie hush enveloping us. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Welcome to the game. Tonight, we will uncover secrets, and perhaps some of you will wish you hadn't come looking for them." Panic surged through me as I exchanged a glance with Emma, who looked as bewildered as I felt. This wasn't just a party, it was something far more sinister, a stage where we were all puppets in a twisted spectacle. With keen determination flashing in her eyes, the red-haired woman looked straight at me. "For those of you who seek the truth, jump when the music begins. You never know what you might find." The beat started to thump again, raw and visceral, pulling everyone into a rhythm of uncertainty and excitement. Emma stood frozen beside me, her expression a mix of determination and fear. "Should we?" I asked, tension thrumming in my chest, anchoring me in place. Before she could reply, the bearded man leaned in closely, his breath warm against my ear. "There's something out there waiting for you. It's time to choose a side." My heart raced as bam bam bam's beat grew louder, an almost deafening drum echoing in our ears. I glanced back at Emma, the fear in her eyes mirroring my own. "Do we jump?" I whispered, urgency intertwining with desperation. The music blared like a warning, inviting chaos into our carefully maintained reality. The anticipation hung thick like smoke as the crowd began to move, tossing themselves into the fray, a whirlwind of color and sound. Just as I reached for Emma's hand, I caught a glint of something, a flash of shimmering metal tucked beneath the strap of the red-haired woman's dress as she turned away. It was a locket, instinctively recognizing it as Lila's. My breath caught, and my body jerked forward as I shouted, desperate to chase the truth. "Wait!" But Emma gripped my arm, her eyes wide, that single touch sending a ripple of awareness through me. "Don't lose me in this," she pleaded, grounding me just as we were consumed by the thrumming chaos. But then, in that moment of indecision, the crowd began to surge, and every ounce of hope, each thread of certainty was swept away as fate closed its grip. No matter what happened next, I sensed we were standing at the precipice, ready to tumble into the depths of a truth we could hardly grasp. The pulsating music drowned out everything, but my heartbeat remained unmistakably loud, a frantic reminder of the urgency coursing through my veins. Emma's grip tightened, anchoring me amidst the surging crowd that felt both electric and oppressive. I could hardly process what had just happened, the revelation that Lila's locket was in the possession of a woman whose very presence seemed to cast a long shadow over this event. "Let's just go," I urged once more, trying to break free of the thrall keeping me tethered. The din of laughter and shouted conversations swirled around us, but all I could hear was the thumping of the bass that seemed to vibrate through my bones, a taunting reminder that we were not just visitors here, we were participants in a game we hadn't signed up for. Emma's brow furrowed, concern flickering in her gaze. "But what if she knows something? What if she has Lila?" Her voice was barely audible over the chaos, yet the conviction in her plea echoed deep within me. Another blast of drums, and the crowd seemed to sway in unison, each body moving like marionettes pulled by invisible strings. It was hypnotic and terrifying, the way the air thickened with uncertainty, drawing us closer to the red-haired woman standing atop an imaginary pedestal, commanding attention with a mere flick of her wrist. "Just a moment," I whispered, breaking free from Emma's hold and pushing toward the bar where she had last been seen, my feet almost on autopilot, moving through the writhing sea of faces. The air grew heavier with each step, charged with expectation. I neared her, and suddenly, she turned her attention toward me, those sharp, electric eyes narrowing as if she could see all my fears laid bare before her. The moment felt suspended in time, a stolen glimpse into her soul. I could sense that the locket wasn't just jewelry, it was a gateway to a truth far grimmer than I could fathom. "Are you looking for something?" the woman asked, a sly smile creeping onto her lips, revealing a hint of amusement mixed with something more dangerous. "Lila," I blurted, the name escaping my mouth like a prayer. "Where is she?" Her amusement vanished, replaced by something darker. "Ah, the lost girl. You have no idea what you're getting into." She took a step closer, her voice dropping low, only for my ears. "You think this world is what it seems? Every party has its secrets, and every touch of gold has a price." Her words curled around me like smoke, both intoxicating and suffocating. My thoughts raced, grappling with the harsh realization that Lila's absence was more than a misunderstanding, was a deliberate puzzle set up against us, a trial we needed to navigate. "Tell me where she is," I demanded, the thread of bravery ascending from deep within me, searching for any semblance of hope this woman could provide. But my words only seemed to amuse her. "Why? So you can rescue her?" Her laughter was like shards of glass falling, each one a reminder of how precarious our situation had become. "In this game, darling, you'll need to play to win. And you may not like what you uncovered." I got twisted at her meaning, fear slithering down my spine. Emma appeared behind me, her presence weaving solace into the chaos that surrounded us, yet the look of uncertainty on her face only deepened the shadows rising in the dim light. "Let's go," she urged again, more insistent now, grasping my arm like a lifeline. I could see the resolve flickering like a candle threatened by the wind. "Wait." I turned back to the woman, desperation spilling forth. "Just tell me one thing. Is she here?" The woman's gaze flickered to Emma before returning to me, her demeanor shifting as her eyes softened momentarily. "If you truly desire to find your friend," she murmured, "the truth lies in a choice, each rhythm of the night revealing more than you can handle." Before I could respond, the music rose to a crescendo, drowning out our words, washing over us with an intensity that made my heart race. Suddenly, she was stepping back, a queen retreating from her court, melding into the crowd around us. That I turned and found Emma's eyes locked on mine. There wasn't just fear reflected there was a deep understanding, a realization that whatever lay ahead was going to challenge everything we thought we knew about love, loyalty, and the very fabric of truth binding us together. "Let's just go, please," Emma pleaded again, but something stirred within me, a thirst for understanding that was too potent to resist. With a deep breath, I shook my head, the decision illuminating an invisible path ahead. "We can't leave, Emma. Not without knowing. I have to find Lila." The music shifted, morphing into something more sensual and dark, a melody thick with deceit and passion. Enticed, I felt the urge to move closer to the dance floor where shadows intertwined with secrets waiting to be unearthed. "Then let's do it together," Emma's voice rang clear, resolve hardening her features. "But we have to be careful. Whatever this game is, we can't lose ourselves in it." As I stepped into the chaos, a sudden crash of glass shattered the air. I turned toward the bar to see the same woman that had approached me clutching her locket. It had fallen, revealing an intricate engraving that glinted and shimmered under the dim lighting, a date, or maybe a time. My breath caught in my throat. Before I could register the meaning, a voice boomed across the bar, cutting through like a knife. "The next round begins in 10 minutes. Are you ready to face your fears?" The crowd roared in excitement, and just like that, we were swept back into the fray, uncertainty looming over us like dark clouds on the horizon. One thing was agonizingly clear: we were in too deep, and wherever this path would lead, it was going to change everything. As the countdown began, I sensed that hidden forces were at play, pulling us closer to truths neither Emma nor I dared to uncover. My heart raced with a foreboding sense of what lay in store as I caught one last glimpse of the mysterious woman disappearing among the crowd, knowing then that Lila's fate and perhaps our own might just hang in the balance of a single decision. The countdown clock ticked away in the back of my mind, each second a reminder of how precarious our situation had become. Emma remained close, her presence a grounding force amid swirling uncertainty. But I could feel the weight of my decision pulling me forward, an invisible thread tugging me deeper into this world. As I stepped onto the dance floor, bodies writhed around us, moving with an instinctual rhythm that seemed to vie for life itself. I caught glimpses of laughter and flashing lights, but everything felt distant, like I was watching the scene through a fogged glass. It was exhilarating, yet terrifying, the music swelling like a storm, thrashing against my ribcage as I felt the anxiety and longing rise in tandem. "What do you think she meant?" Emma asked, her voice barely piercing the metallic cacophony of the beat. "What fears are we supposed to face?" I wanted to reassure her, to promise that I had a plan, but the truth was, I was just as lost. The enigmatic woman's words felt like riddles, as if carved from shadows. They echoed in my mind, taunting me with the possibility of uncovering Lila's secrets while warning me about the darkness I might unearth in doing so. Suddenly, the music shifted again, shifting into a more haunting melody that wrapped around us, drawing attention from all corners of the room. I could see others responding to it as if it were a siren's call, their movements becoming less about simply dancing and more about unveiling hidden truths. In that moment, I realized this was a part of the game the woman had hinted at, testing our resolve, forcing us to confront our inner turmoil. "Look," I said, pointing toward the center of the dance floor. A small group had gathered around a raised platform, their eyes locked not on one another but on a figure standing there, poised and mesmerizing. Her presence radiated confidence, a fierce warning wrapped in a lure. Is she part of it? I wondered. Emma seemed equally captivated, nudging closer as we surrendered ourselves to a magnetic pull that steered us toward the gathering. I could feel the energy shifting, a current that intertwined with our fears and hopes, as the figure motioned for silence. "Tonight, we're not just dancers," she declared, her voice smooth and compelling. "We are seekers. Faced with our demons, each of you has a choice to make. Will you dive deeper into the abyss or take a step back into the light? Secrets will be revealed, but remember, knowledge comes at a cost." I looked at Emma, dread pooling in my stomach. "Is this though we really have to? We've come this far," she replied, determination sparking in her eyes. We can't turn back now. It was a leap into the unknown, but the desperation to find Lila surged within me. In my heart, I felt the urgency of a bond that transcended the chaos, a bond that demanded answers. The music shifted again, commanding us to sway, to lose ourselves in the rhythm, and for a moment, I allowed it to envelop me. I breathed in the electrifying energy that pulsated in the air, letting it shatter my defenses like glass. I had to confront this tangled web of fate, even if I didn't know what I would find. The platformed woman held up a small, intricate object, what looked like a locket, much like the one that had drawn me into this web of secrets. To face your fear, she began, the first step is to embrace what you desire most. Who will come forward? Like a moth to a flame, the crowd parted as if directing me toward the approach of destiny. I wanted to resist, to hide behind Emma, but something compelled me to step forward. My heart thundered as I approached, feeling the gaze of countless eyes on my back, but anchoring myself in my mission to bring Lila back. Will you dare to step into the fire? She asked, her voice resonating through the stunned audience. You can choose to unravel the thread that binds you, Lila, I murmured instinctively, desperation guiding my every heartbeat. This was my moment, the call to fight against the creeping shadows. But as I reached for the locket held in her outstretched hand, a sudden blaring alarm sounded, echoing throughout the venue, shaking my resolve. The atmosphere shifted again as chaos broke loose. People scattered in all directions, the music stalling, chaos erupting like a storm unleashing its fury. I turned back to Emma, anxiety twisting my insides. What's happening? She seized my wrist, pulling me closer as the crowd exploded with panic and confusion. We have to get out of here, she shouted. Fear radiated from her, eclipsing any urge I had to remain rooted in this place. As we turned to escape, I felt it tug at my memory, the sharp scent of familiarity amidst the swirling chaos of bodies and emotions. From the periphery, I caught sight of the red-haired woman again, her features sharp and determined, weaving through the throng. She spotted us, and for one fleeting moment, our eyes locked. There was something in her gaze and urgency, a signal, something unsaid that plunged me into a sense of dread and curiosity all at once, and then, just like that, she vanished into the crowd, leaving only shadows and questions in her wake. Was she a friend or foe? Before I could chase after her, Emma tugged me in the other direction, propelling us toward an exit that felt as if it might be the cusp of our salvation. We can't stay, she insisted, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and resolve. Yet something in my gut screamed that we weren't done. As we reached the exit, a flash overwhelmed us, the bright lights bathing my vision in white. I stepped into the unknown, but just as I did, a haunting voice echoed through the air from the depths of the venue, sending a shiver down my spine. This is only the beginning, you haven't found what you're truly looking for yet. Hope and dread warred within me as we stepped into the night, not knowing that whatever horror we faced, Lila's fate hung precariously at the mercy of our next choices. The moon hung high in the sky as Emma and I stumbled out of the chaotic venue, the cool night air washing over us like a balm, but the weight of what we had just encountered gushed through me like a powerful tide. I leaned against the brick wall outside, breathing heavily, desperately trying to steady my racing heart. What just happened in there? Emma whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know, I admitted, rubbing my forehead, trying to soothe the throbbing confusion there. It felt like we stepped into a trap. But there was something about that woman, Emma. I need to understand. I need to know if she has Lila. Emma glanced around, her expression flickering between fright and determination. We have to be careful. We don't know who we can trust. We barely escaped that crowd. What if there's someone watching us right now? My pulse quickened at her words. I know. But we can't keep running blindly either. Lila needs us. My voice trembled, the urgency of the search boiling over. As I glanced back at the venue, a flicker of movement caught my eye near the entrance, and my breath caught in my throat. Do you see that? I pointed, instinctively grabbing Emma's hand tightly. There she is. My heart raced as I saw the unmistakable flash of auburn hair. It was Lila, navigating through the residual chaos of the party as if she were a ghost, slipping away from vanishing figures that pulsed with dark energy. Without hesitation, I tore off in her direction, propelled by instinct and raw longing. Lila! I shouted, my voice drowning in the swell of adrenaline. Even as I ran, doubt crept in. What kind of Lila would I find? She turned abruptly at the sound of my voice, her dark eyes locking onto mine, surprise morphing into a flicker of recognition. "You came!" she exclaimed, her expression both relieved and frightened. In that moment, all at once, I was enveloped by conflicting emotions: relief at seeing her again, but also the insidious fear that perhaps the world she had set foot into had irrevocably changed her. I've been looking for you. What happened? Where have you been?" I demanded, desperation surging through my veins. Before she could respond, Emma joined us, breathless and wide-eyed. "You're safe now," she reassured Lila, though the glance she shot me spoke volumes: unsteady ground stepped on by shadows from every angle. But Lila's gaze drifted, her brow furrowing as she drew closer, the chaos of the night seemingly falling away. "I can't explain everything now," she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "But I need you to trust me. The game isn't over. It's just begun." "What do you mean?" I pressed, urgency flooding my voice. I have something to show you, but it's dangerous. We must leave." "Why should we trust you?" Emma interjected, crossing her arms, an unmistakable tension crackling in the air. "Because," Lila said, her gaze flicking between us, sincerity blooming in her eyes, "I was a piece of the puzzle all along. I never meant for you to get pulled into this." My heart sank at her words, an unsettling truth crashing against my chest. "What do you mean?" "Pulled into what?" "Into my family's curse," she replied, the weight of those words hanging heavy. "I can see things, but I never wanted to drag either of you into this darkness." I opened my mouth, but no words came. The very foundation of what I had believed about her shattered with newfound fear. "What darkness?" "Tonight, when the party was happening, you were all part of a leverage game, and now they're coming for you," she said sharply, an urgency dripping from her words. "And the other Severionius Sothar deep into this, and if we don't act now." She paused, her breath hitching. "It'll be too late." The weight of her statement settled heavily upon us, drowning out the noise of the bustling street. Without thinking, I reached out for her hand, my instinct to fold her into the safety of my grip. "Then let's go." As we turned to leave, she hesitated, a shudder passing through her. "Wait," she whispered, looking back as if sensing something lurking within the shadows. My heart seized as I followed. Her gaze, darkness shifted, coiling oddly around us, and suddenly, a figure emerged from that very darkness: the stranger who had haunted our attempts to piece together this puzzle. "You shouldn't have come back here, Lila," he growled, his words laced with malice. "Stay back," I shouted, stepping protectively in front of her, though the doubt clawed at my resolve. But Lila captured my arm gently, her fingers cool against my skin. "No. This is my fight. You need to leave. Whatever is going on, we're in this together," I insisted, my heart spilling over with desperation and anger. And then suddenly, it hit meth truth that lurked beneath all of this, waiting to unearth itself. "Is this all because of your family?" I demanded, realization igniting a blaze in my chest. "Is this the curse you've been talking about? You didn't invite me into this. Your secrets have swallowed too much already, Lila." "I didn't know," Lila shouted, her eyes welling with unshed tears. "I tried to shield you from it. I thought keeping you away would protect us, would protect you." "By hiding?" Emma interjected, her voice trembling with hurt. "By lying?" For a moment, Lila seemed to deflate, her strength flickering like a candle in the wind. "I didn't want you to experience my family's fate. I wanted to save you but only dragged you deeper." The ground beneath us felt unstable, shifting like sand, but I couldn't let myself falter. This wasn't just about Lila anymore, it was about the tangled web we had woven together, grappling with the shards of reality pressing against the essence of everything we had fought for. "Then help us," I pleaded, my heart catching on the edge of impending danger. "Help us break this curse." The stranger glared from the shadows, his demeanor suggestive of more than mere annoyance. "You really believe this will end well, don't you? You think you can untangle her mess?" Get away from us!" Emma yelled, desperation tinged with fierceness. But Lila responded with surprising calm. "He speaks the truth," she said softly, her gaze penetrating ours. "You both have willingly walked into the storm, and storms always take their toll." "Then we'll face it together," I insisted, refusing to step back. "You're not alone in this, not anymore. If you go down, we're going down with you." Lila's expression shifted, the sadness blooming into something fierce and bold. "Then brace yourselves for the truth." Without another word, she stepped forward, her voice lifting above the chaos that seemed to thrum in rhythm with my heart. "What you don't understand is that this curse isn't merely about me. Each piece of knowledge unlocks more danger and people in my life who will stop at nothing to keep their darkness hidden." A sudden dread filled the air as she turned to face the stranger, still looming with an unsettling intensity. "You made your choice, now we make ours." The stranger's face twisted into a mix of rage and disbelief, and without warning, he lunged forward, extending his hand like a predator ready to sink his teeth into flesh. "Lila!" I shouted, lunging to protect her, but before I could reach her, the world exploded around us, a cacophony of color and sound, the very fabric of reality twisting. Enveloped in a flare of blinding light, the ground shifted beneath us, and time seemed to collide in a collision of past and present. And then it went dark. When the light faded, I found myself alone in an entirely different space, surrounded by flickering shadows and familiar figures, where echoes of voices merged into a haunting melody. My heart thudded in my chest, confusion and dread reigning as I searched frantically for Emma, for Lila, realizing together we stood at the precipice of a chasm that threatened to swallow us whole. Nothing felt real anymore, yet a muted whisper skimmed the surface of my consciousness, a reminder of promises made, a bond as strong as blood. This was where the game had led me, deeper into the heart of darkness, where all I could cling to was the unmistakable desire to unearth the truth no matter the cost. "Lila?" I called out, my voice reverberating off the edges of the dark, flickering space. "Emma?" And then I saw her, Lila, ethereal yet grounded, standing before me as she cradled the locket in her palm, fierce determination shining in her eyes. "We'll find our way back," she promised, and in that moment, a thread of resolve anchored me, a promise entwined in shadows yet pressed with light. "We will," I affirmed, knowing that despite the darkness that surrounded us, love and courage would illuminate our path as we ventured into the abyss, forced to confront the truths that had the power to unravel destinies entwined beyond the grasp of shadows. And as I took her hand, I knew this was only the beginning. We were ready to face the storm together. Always. "Let's go," I whispered, my heart aligning with Lilith's as we stepped forward into the unknown, ready to reclaim everything we had lost. The truth awaited.